Well, the strike is over from what I understand, but there will always be prevailing issues regarding Liat. The government of St. Lucia has always said that it is very sympathetic to the situation with Liat. We are very busy giving minimum revenue guarantees to airlines from all over the world, from the United States and elsewhere. And it seems to me manifestly unfair that here we are busy giving minimum revenue guarantees to external airlines, vital as they may be to our tourism product, but at the same time we are ignoring our own domestic carrier, Liat. The government of St. Lucia has therefore decided that it would agree to provide a guarantee to Liat for some $3 million US. We can't afford anymore. These are very difficult times, very, very difficult times, and we have to be very careful. But there are conditions. First of all, we have to review carefully the routes selected by Liat at this time. We have to ensure that the people of St. Lucia are not disadvantaged as we think that they have been, because there are some very bizarre routes, and I say bizarre because there have been instances where, for example, you fly past St. Lucia, go to Barbados and pick up an aircraft from Barbados and return to St. Lucia. So that's an issue of great concern to us, and we need to determine whether Liat is acting in a fair manner, whether there is equity in its approach, in its decision to support certain routes. I mean, I think matters like that have to be market-driven and not politically driven. So we have to be very clear about that. The second thing, we continue to be very concerned about the management of Liat. We have always been. We think that the governments have to take Liat and shake it up. It means dealing decisively with the management issues. Liat really needs a thorough shake-up of its management. It's not just a matter of changing the chief executive officer, but dealing decisively with the problem of management that has been inherited over the years. Clear changes have to be made. You need new thinking, fresh thinking in Liat. The third thing, I'm very pleased that Liat is now engaged in buying new aircraft. I think clearly it's a step in the right direction. Although some of us would question the decisions in regard to the choices of aircraft made, but I guess we have to live with it. I would say, however, that it is a very, very important step. I think Liat has to take some really bold steps going into the future, and it has to stop operating in a traditional manner, believing that somehow the only two bases that it can have in the region is Antigua and, of course, Barbados. I think it has to rethink, for example, where it is in its best interest to have its maintenance facilities. These are the kinds of questions that has to loom very large, and it's not a question now of historical entitlement where governments are putting money. But the government of St. Lucia is firmly behind Liat. We need Liat. We cannot survive without Liat, and I can well understand the statements made by my colleague prime ministers across the region. The strike was very unfortunate, and Liat's pilots have to come on board. And it's not just for governments to make sacrifices. It's not just for taxpayers to make sacrifices. All have to make sacrifices together to ensure the survival of Liat.
So I know you met with the Liat executive recently to discuss most of those issues and going forward with the injection of $3 million, some of the conditions that you alluded to. Is this a concern that even the economy is so bad for St. Lucia to invest in Liat right now?
Well, if you heard me, you would have noticed that I indicated that we are prepared to agree to a guarantee. In other words, we are not the ones taking the loan. They're the ones who would have to take the loan, and what we would do is merely guarantee it, so that the reality is that it's not money up front we are taking from the Treasury and we are passing it on to Liat. But yes, we have to be very careful, because all loans that you take end up being ascribed to your GDP, because it's what you call a contingent liability. So yes, we do have to be careful, but at the same time we have a duty to the St. Lucian public to ensure that they have frequent and reliable service, and that they do not suffer because of the fact that somehow St. Lucia does not make a contribution to Liat. I think we have to think beyond those boundaries, that Liat is absolutely essential to the region, absolutely to the people of the region. And while they're going through their difficulties, I think it is important that all of us give them support, and that it can't be right that we are giving support to external airlines and not to our own domestic airline. But as I said before, Liat has to take some bold decisions, and I hope those decisions can be taken. It doesn't follow, of course, that Liat will eventually be able to raise the $3 million US. Perhaps they may not be able to, so they may not call on it. But as I said, the government of St. Lucia is willing to extend that kind of support, and it is by way of a guarantee to a loan.